There is a harsh truth about human existence that most men spend their entire lives desperately trying to avoid. We are born into a world that tells us happiness is a destination. We are taught that if we can just acquire the right job, the right status, the right amount of wealth, or the perfect circle of friends, we will finally arrive at a state of permanent peace. But as a man grows older and his intellect sharpens, he begins to notice a quiet, terrifying pattern. He achieves the goal he bled for, and for a fleeting moment, he feels satisfied. But almost immediately, the satisfaction evaporates. It is replaced first by a hollow emptiness and then by a new, gnawing desire. The great philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer observed this tragic cycle and concluded that human life swings like a pendulum, backward and forward, between pain and boredom. When we lack what we desire, we are in pain. When we finally get it, we are briefly relieved, only to quickly become bored, which forces us to chase a new desire just to feel alive again. The average man never realizes he is on this pendulum. He runs on the treadmill of modern life, completely blind to the fact that the machine has no off switch. He exhausts himself trying to satisfy an appetite that is, by its very nature, unquenchable. Schopenhauer called this blind driving force the will to life. It is the invisible current that drags the masses along, forcing them to compete, to boast, to argue, and to consume. Look at the crowded rooms, the noisy streets, and the endless digital marketplace of modern society. What you are witnessing is not a collection of free individuals. You are witnessing prisoners of the will, desperately trying to distract themselves from the unbearable silence of their own existence. But eventually, the exceptional man stops running. He steps off the treadmill. He looks around at the frantic, exhausting race that everyone else is running, and a profound shift occurs in his mind. He does not become angry, he becomes remarkably still. When a man begins to see through the illusion of desire, a deep and irreversible separation takes place between him and the crowd. The ambitions that society considers crucial suddenly appear trivial, even slightly ridiculous to him. He can no longer force himself to care about the latest outrage, the scramble for artificial prestige, or the hollow validation of strangers. Because of this, the world will inevitably misunderstand him. The crowd assumes that a man who walks away from the game must be a loser. They believe that if you are not chasing what they are chasing, you must be depressed, defeated, or bitter. They cannot comprehend that a man might simply refuse to play a game that is rigged against his own peace. This is why the path of the deep thinker is so often a path of solitude. As Schopenhauer famously noted, a man can be himself only so long as he is alone. If he does not love solitude, he will not love freedom, for it is only when he is alone that he is truly free. When you sit in a room full of people who are completely consumed by the pendulum of pain and boredom, you are forced to lower your own frequency to match theirs. You have to pretend that their trivial anxieties matter. You have to participate in conversations that drain your spirit. But when you embrace solitude, something extraordinary happens. The relentless noise of the will begins to fade. The exceptional man uses this quiet not to hide from the world, but to observe it clearly. Through deep reflection, philosophy, and an uncompromising dedication to truth, the intellect briefly breaks free from the chains of desire. In these moments of quiet contemplation, you are no longer a participant in the frantic tragedy of human life. You become the audience. You become the pure, objective observer of reality. This state of profound observation is the highest freedom a man can achieve. It is true that living this way requires courage. It requires the willingness to be misunderstood. It requires you to sit alone on a Saturday night while the rest of the world is desperately trying to drug itself with cheap entertainment and shallow company. But consider the alternative. To remain integrated in the crowd is to surrender your mind to the pendulum. It is to spend your brief, unrepeatable life acting as a puppet for desires that were never truly yours to begin with. If you have found yourself pulling away from the noise of the world, if you have lost your appetite for the meaningless competitions of the crowd, do not let society convince you that you are lost. You are not lost. You are simply waking up. You have recognized the pendulum for what it is, and you have chosen the quiet dignity of standing still. Subscribe to Literary Exile. We continue to explore the timeless philosophies and heavy truths that guide the exceptional man on his solitary path. Share this video with someone who feels out of place in this frantic world and remind them that their solitude is not an affliction. It is an achievement. The exceptional man does not fear missing out on the world's games. He fears winning a game that was never worth playing.